Hey guys, well, spring is almost here. For us in Nebraska, the ice is off the lake. I got the camper and the boat sitting there, ready to go. We just need a day when the wind isn't blowing 40, 50 miles an hour. But the other day while I was at the lake, another guy and I got talking about fishing, and we got talking fishing knots and how many knots there are out there for tying on terminal tackle. But then, how many do we actually use? And now, I know this is going to vary for the kind of fishing that you do, that certain types of fishing require different tackle, and different tackle can require different knots. But I've looked at it and figured out that I get by with 3 knots. And if I wasn't using braid, I could probably get by with 1. But I thought, if you're starting out, you're bass fishing kind of the way I do it, and you're wondering what knots you need to know, let's take a minute today. I'm going to show you the 3 knots that I use that will get you by probably 99% of the time. Let's take her over to the workbench. All right, we were going to start out with the improved cinch knot. Years and years ago, you always did what they called the cinch knot. Then somebody made it a little better, I guess, made the improved cinch knot. And I'll agree, I like the improved version a little better, and I'll explain why. All right, let's get our line through here. We're going to make a loop. I'm just going to make it a little oversized to make it easier for everybody to see everything. We're going to loop our line through the loop. We're going to do it probably 5 or 6 times. For the sake of here, I'm probably only going to do it about 3 or 4 to show you. Now, we're through about 5. Normally, if you're doing a cinch knot, we're now going to pull it up, tighten it up, and that's a cinch knot. But the improved cinch knot, what they do is, there's your loop yet. Take your line from the outside, come back up into the loop. From out to in. Now we're going to pull everything up. You might wet it down a little bit and pull that up, get that in with the string. This doesn't work quite as well as monofilament, but you get the idea. And that'll pull up your cinch. Now, the difference between the improved cinch and the cinch, in the improved cinch, because you went back through, your tag line is now facing backwards. So you want to cut it off short. It always leaves a little bit. In the old cinch knot, it went to the front where it would grab grass, or it might grab a little weed or something like that and catch onto it. Here, the tag is pointing back. So it's a little more streamlined as you're going through vegetation and grass. You won't pick up anything. If all you're using is fluorocarbon or monofilament and tying on a hook, that knot right there will probably do 100% of your use. The improved cinch knot is the first one. Now, let's move on to number 2 and 3. All right, our next knot. It's going to be the Palomar knot. It's especially important if you're using braid. Now, I admit, I do not use this knot very much, but the main reason is I use high visibility braid, which means I'm using a leader. And when I'm using a leader, it's fluorocarbon, so that will even work with an improved cinch when you're tying that on. But if you're tying braid directly to a hook or directly to a lure, you're going to want to use the Palomar knot. Now, it's really pretty simple. Take your line, double it over, run both pieces through the eye of the hook. Then all we're going to do is bring the line around, and we're just going to tie like a granny knot. Same old simple knot. When we do that, we're now going to take the hook, and we're going to take the hook and put it through the loop. Before we tighten anything up, we're going to put that through the loop. We're going to bring that loop down there, and then we're just going to tighten up everything there. And there we have a Palomar knot. That will hold your braid to your hook, and you won't have any slippage. No problems at all. All right, let's move on to number 3, the one that's the most complicated. All right, now we come on to the double uni knot. As I mentioned before, I like to use high visibility braid. That means I need a leader. So in order to hook my leader, which is usually fluorocarbon, to the braid, we're going to use a double uni knot. So we're going to take 2 lines. The white one here is going to be, that's going to be our leader, fluorocarbon leader. This will be our braid. We're going to put 2 of them next to each other. Let's bring the braid around first, we're going to make a circle here. We're going to bring that over the top. And now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it. And you might wrap this 8 or 10 times. For this today, I'll probably only do it 4 or 5 times. One more, and we'll lay it down and call it good. I'll show you what we got. All right. So now I've taken the braid, I brought it back, I wrapped it about 4 or 5 times around. So now what we're going to do, we're going to grab all the ends, we're going to pull this down. We're going to leave it like that. All right. Now we're going to reverse this. We're going to bring the leader around. We're going to bring that around now. Excuse me, let me get it over here where I get it, make sure I got it where you can see it. All right, I got my knot there. Now we're going to bring the leader around, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to form a loop, and we're going to start wrapping this around. Let me get it 4, 5, 6 times here, and then I'll show you where it's at again. That's good enough. We'll do that. All right, there we go. Got my loop again. Going to grab both of these. We're going to grab this. We're going to pull that up. We're going to pull this tight. There's our 2 knots. And now we're going to grab the 2 lines and pull them together. Boom. There we go. All you do is cut the tag end off of this one and cut the tag end off of that, and you have a knot that will hold your braid to your leader with no problems every time. I know it might look a little complicated to start with, but once you've done this a few times, it really gets simple. Nice, easy knot that really does the job. Well, there we go, guys. As I said, that's the 3 knots that handle 99% of my fishing needs. Now, I know in your case, you might have an extra knot or 2 that you need depending on the kind of fishing you're doing, but I thought for most guys just starting out new, that'll probably get the job done for them. Hey, hopefully the weather will straighten the next week. We can get out some fishing in, get some videos for you. But until then, thanks for sticking with me. Subscribe to the channel if you would. Hope to see you again real soon.